Hey team, how we doing? This is Coach Dana Cavalea checking in with you today. And today I want to talk a little bit about the question, are you being built up or are you being broken down? And, in my podcast, we talk a lot about performance in general, coaching, team, mindset, attitude, all of those attributes that eventually, when performed well and performed together, lead to winning and becoming a champion. And as I roam the earth and I go to different, venues, whether it's, training facilities or working with coaches and working with teams or going into companies to speak, the first thing I do, as a consultant, is I walk in and I start to understand the culture. I start to see people's behaviors. I start to see how they react to each other. I start to study how teammates interact, not only with their boss and their leader and their manager, but with each other. And what is their body language saying? And when you start to see that and you start to understand that in people, man, you start to see a story that may not have been there just on the surface. And I think that's so important for us to understand. And the more you take a deep dive into this world and into these situations, you start to understand even more that everybody's an individual and everybody comes from a different background. And the questions I always like to ask are, why do people do the things they do? Why do they say the things that they say? Why do they act the way they act? And I try to really start with those questions after I do my thorough analysis and an assessment. And when I get the chance to sit with people one-on-one, you actually start to realize how many people have been torn down throughout their life. How many people get chopped down more than they get built up. And what I see is people, students, athletes, employees, even high-level leaders, CEOs and guys that are the founders of billion-dollar companies were never built up. And they're actually overcompensating either with long work hours or, excessive practicing, whatever it may be, to make up for or overcompensate for some of the things that they actually need. And being built up and building people up is so important. And unfortunately, many of the environments that I'm called into have such a negative tone and they have such a negative stigma to them that the first thing to create a great and dynamic situation is to change over that environment and change over that tone. And that starts with one individual at a time. It starts with sitting with the leadership and understanding their tone and the reason why they think the way they think, starting to understand their fears and starting to understand what drives them. And when we can get to that point, then we could really start putting some true plans in place. And I'm reading a great book right now by the former baseball coach at the University of Texas. His name is Augie Garrido, and unfortunately he just passed away a couple weeks ago. And the great thing about the book is, although he was a huge winner on the field in terms of record and accolades, championships, he was in the business of building men. That's what he focused on, building men. And he felt that if he could give people great character and help them truly find security within themselves and self-belief, in the end they would win over and over and over again. And he discussed many of his players going on and creating very successful companies and truly becoming pioneers and just leaders in general in the environments or workplaces that they now serve in. And that's pretty amazing stuff. And it always brings me back to the question, hey, what if we could get a positive tone instead of a negative tone? What if we could build people up instead of chop them down? When somebody screws up, they know they screwed up. They don't need you to tell them. It sits within them. They know that they screwed up. If you keep harping on the screw up, eventually they'll start to internalize and see themselves as a screw up. So the screw up wasn't just what they screwed up. They start to see themselves as the actual screw up, and that becomes an even bigger perpetuating problem, and they lose their overall confidence. There was a great scene in a new show that I'm watching, and it's called Billions on Showtime, and it showed a very successful hedge fund manager who was losing profits because he lost his mojo, and that negative started to swirl, and boom, 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 he started to fall down. Revenue started to fall down, and before you know it, he had no confidence, and his confidence was shot. So how was his work? His negative confidence was starting to reflect in his work. And did it start with negative confidence or a couple failures? We don't know, but either way, once you get in that failure loop, you're in big trouble. So I am a huge proponent of building people up. Build them up. And it's hard because sometimes as we're having a bad day, we push that bad day onto other people, and we are unaware of the words that we're using. We're unaware of our own actions, of our body language. And that lack of awareness could lead to some true damage that cannot be fixed. And things are said that shouldn't have been said that, again, could lead to damage that's long term and not repairable. So it's so important, if you're in a leadership position, that you understand where you're at, what you're saying, and how those things that you say and do will affect other people. And if you're not in a leadership position, you can become a leader no matter where you're at, what position that you hold. And it starts with how you carry yourself, how you interact with people, how you communicate with others, and how you make other people feel about themselves. If you're always building people up, you will become a leader, which is super, super important. And you'll start to see yourself climb and elevate as a result of those positive actions. So as I walk you through today, it was simply to create an awareness, and an awareness to yourself. What are you saying? What are you doing? And how are you acting? And what is the tone of those three things? Positive or negative? Are you building yourself up or chopping yourself down? Are you building others up or chopping them down? Super important questions for you to ask and answer. And I wrote a blog on all this today on DanaCavalea.com, same title. And I think you guys will really enjoy it because it'll give you a deeper perspective. And it's, you're either being built up or broken down. Which are you doing? And ask the questions. Don't be afraid. Slow down enough to understand what you're doing and the effects it has on other people. So that's my lesson for today. I hope you guys enjoy. Again, get on the daily blog. It comes out at 6:02 most mornings, Monday to Friday. And it's about positive motivation, inspiration, taking your health, your mindset, your attitude to the next level in a real way, giving you real tips from the field. We use these on pro athletes, high-level CEOs and executives, and I just want to make them palatable and easy to use for you guys to take your performance and your game to the next level. So my job is to coach you and help you get to that next place in your life, and that's what I love to do. That's what I'm passionate and most passionate about. So DanaCavalea.com, check it out. We got a new book coming out soon. It's called Becoming a Champion in Life, Sport, and Business. 15 lessons that I want to share with you from some of the greatest CEOs and greatest athletes I've ever had a chance to meet. And there's some tremendous lessons in there. So this is Coach Dana Cavalea signing out. I hope you enjoy, and I'll talk to you guys soon. And most importantly, if you like this, please share it. If you listen on iTunes, if you could write a review and tell your friends, that would be greatly appreciated. We're on SoundCloud as well. This is Coach Dana Cavalea signing out. Talk to you guys soon.